Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Friday Night Smackdown review. And tonight's Smackdown was from the Allstate Arena in Chicago, which WWE is going to be there for Survivor Series weekend. So we kicked off with Smackdown tonight. We're going to be there for NXT TakeOver War Games, which is tomorrow night, which I'm looking forward to, even though the build for War Games has been bad because they're focusing more on Survivor Series than building up for War Games. So it's been pretty much a Survivor Series build, but it was pretty bad build for War Games. So War Games is going to be tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. Sunday, they're going to be there also for Survivor Series, and then Monday for, of course, Monday Night Raw. But this was SmackDown's go-home show for Survivor Series, of course. And I gotta say, SmackDown tonight, I thought it was a decent show. I thought it was a decent go-home show for Survivor Series, which got us hyped in the end for Survivor Series between Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. So, but all in all, SmackDown was a decent show tonight. So let's get on with the SmackDown review. So SmackDown opened up, and we saw the SmackDown superstars. They were backstage. They were gathered there for a meeting. We saw Big E doing the limbo, and so we saw Corbin. He tried to speak. Of course, we get another week with Corbin. Starting off SmackDown, but only backstage. So, then Roman Reigns ends up speaking from the front of the arena and tells the SmackDown roster that they can't let what happened on Raw and NXT happen tonight. So then Roman then ends up taking a shot at Corbin. Everyone pretty much laughed at that. So Reigns ends up having the door open, which was a garage door, which it lifted, it opened, and he ends up saying that they're going to let everyone in tonight and beat their asses when they come. But he was talking about Raw and NXT. So we had the roster argue, and then Sasha Banks comes and interrupts. Sasha ends up saying that she works for no one but herself, and that she is headed to the ring to take care of business. So Sasha ends up walking through the crowd with the other members of the SmackDown Women's Division, that walked out with her. We had Carmella, Dana Brooke, and Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross. They're all going to be on Team SmackDown for the woman. But then we had the SmackDown intro, and we went right into the arena. So Sasha ended up coming out with her awful, shitty new entrance music, which this is like the second time that I think they played Sasha's new music, which is terrible. So she ends up coming out with Lacey Evans, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Nikki Cross, and then Sasha ends up getting on the mic, and she ends up saying that they won't be getting jump tonight, jump from behind. she ends up saying that this is their show. So she ends up talking, crap about what they did to the NXT superstars this week. She says that she knows Team Raw is in the building. And Sasha ends up calling Team Raw out for a fight. So we have, them waiting in the ring to see if Team Raw is going to come. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Sasha ended up calling out Team Raw, so Team Smackdown for the women's were waiting in the ring. And then we get Charlotte's music ends up playing. Charlotte comes out. She came out along with Sarah Logan, Natalya, and Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, who are all going to be on Team Raw for the women's. So then we had Charlotte getting on the mic, and she ends up thanking, the welcome wagon, which was Team SmackDown. She ends up saying Team Raw would have knocked down the door anyway. So we saw Team Raw, they stand on the apron, and Charlotte ends up challenging Sasha to a match. So Team Raw gets in the ring, and Team SmackDown ends up getting in their faces. And then we had Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox from NXT. They came out. They came through the crowd. Fans were chanting NXT. And Rhea is on the mic. And she ends up saying that Sasha is wrong. NXT does have guts. So Rhea ends up saying, let's make this match a captain versus captain versus captain match. So Team NXT has been established for Survivor Series. So it's going to be Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox for Team NXT. So that proves it right there. So good team for NXT. We're seeing Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, all women who I enjoy in NXT. Very talented women. So we had Team NXT into the ring, and there were referees coming in there to try to separate them from having a brawl. But a brawl ended up breaking out anyway with Team Raw, Team SmackDown, and Team NXT. The referees, were separating them. And then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from commercial, we had the triple threat match. The captain versus captain versus captain. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte versus Sasha. This was a decent women's match. Back and forth between them. Rhea Ripley did decent here in the match. And we had everyone from Team Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all at ringside. And Rhea Ripley ended up winning the match because Charlotte had Sasha in the figure eight. And Rhea came in. She ended up pinning Sasha while Sasha was still locked in the figure eight. And so Rhea Ripley ended up winning the match. Then post-match, we had Rhea Ripley goes to the floor and celebrates with her team with her partners. Sasha ends up yelling at Charlotte from behind, and Charlotte looked like she was bleeding. It looked like she was bleeding from like the mouth. So Charlotte ended up turning around, and her and Sasha ended up brawling. Then Raw, SmackDown, members hit the ring. NXT looked on from the stage. They were laughing. So Team SmackDown ended up clearing the ring, and Team Raw came back for more. And Team NXT were still looking on. Fans were chanting NXT. So that was basically what happened. But overall, it was a decent triple threat match between Rhea, Charlotte, and Sasha. Wasn't boring, in my opinion. And then we went backstage. We saw Corbin, King Borin, with Bobby Roode and Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. So Corbin ends up knocking, Roman's idea of letting the NXT superstars in the arena because of what happened. And Corbin goes on and talks about coming up with a plan for Team Raw and Team NXT when they try to crash the six-man tag main event. Yes, we had another six-man tag, which was the main event. And, he says, let's have a plan for Team Raw and Team NXT when they try to crash the six-man tag main event, roll out of the ring, and let them beat up Roman and his partners. So Corbin goes on, and Sami Zayn ends up approaching them. Corbin ends up telling Sami that he thinks he's annoying, and they have words. And Sami ends up calling Corbin to the ring for a fight. So Sami Zayn's music ends up hitting, heads to the ring before, he could finish, talking to Corbin, challenging Corbin. And Shinsuke Nakamura's music ended up hitting. And then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we saw Kayla Braxton. She was interviewing Bayley about her triple threat match at Survivor Series, where she's going to be taking on Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. And also talked to her about her opponents possibly appearing tonight, which, we got one of them. So Bayley ends up telling Kayla Braxton that she is prepared. And Bayley went on talking about how decorated she is. About how decorated. Sorry, messed up my notes here. Forgive me for that. But she ends up saying that Becky Lynch knows better, but Shayna Baszler might show up. And she says if Shayna shows up, she is ready. So Bayley ends up walking off, and that was the little interview with Bayley. So then we go back to the ring. Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura were in the ring. Sami ends up saying, it looks like Corbin isn't coming out because he's afraid of him and Nakamura. So Sami went on to talk about how people being afraid. And he ends up saying, you can't call him annoying. He says, in fact, if there was one word to use to describe him, it would be stud. That's because that's how Sami Zayn said it. he was like, stud. So Sammy ends up saying for the big stud he is. Nakamura is even studdier. So yeah, Sammy went on to praise Shinsuke Nakamura. Says to Nakamura that he got him a present for being so studly the past few months. So Sami Zayn ends up revealing what's in the bag because Sami Zayn had a bag. And what was in the bag, Sami ended up taking it out, is a brand new look of the Intercontinental title. Which I gotta say, the look of the new Intercontinental title looks beautiful. It really does. It looked absolutely, absolutely beautiful. Really good looking belt. There was rumors saying that there was going to be a new title belt, a new looking title belt that was going to be revealed. There's rumors going around saying that the United States Championship is also going to get a new look. But we'll have to wait and see with that. So Sammy ends up taking the old Intercontinental title and presents Nakamura with the new one. And the new belt, like I said, looks beautiful. And I'll put a picture here of what the new belt looks like, what the new Intercontinental title looks like. So here's the new look of the Intercontinental title. Yeah, so that was the look of the new Intercontinental title. Let me know what you all think about the title in the comments down below. So, but like I said, really beautiful look for the Intercontinental title. So Sammy went on to say about how this guarantees Nakamura will win over Roderick Strong, who is the NXT North American champion, and also United States champion, AJ Styles, at Survivor Series. So out came the Undisputed Era. Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, the NXT Tag Team Champions. Also, Adam Cole, forgot to mention, is the NXT champion. So the fans end up chanting Undisputed. And Sami Zayn tried to get Nakamura to leave the ring. And Adam Cole introduced his team and says they are going to wipe the floor with Team Raw and Team Smackdown on Sunday after winning War Games on Saturday, which is tomorrow night. So out came the New Day, Big E and Kofi Kingston. They said they have words in order to settle what was started last week. They said the Undisputed Era wonders if this will be a handicap match, but it won't. So Big E ended up introducing Heavy Machinery, and out they came. Ostovic, Tucker Knight, and we had a 8-man tag. So it was the Undisputed Era versus New Day and Heavy Machinery. 8-man tag match. And this was a good match. This was a good 8-man tag with the Undisputed Era, New Day, and Heavy Machinery. Undisputed Era, these guys in the match made it very entertaining. Heavy Machinery, also Ostovic, Tucker Knight, they made it entertaining as well. It was just back and forth between these guys. And the Undisputed Era end up winning the match Roderick Strong ended up hitting a running knee on Tucker Knight. So the Undisputed Era win the match. Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. Post-match, you had the Undisputed Era, stand tall. They stand over Tucker Knight. They raise their NXT titles in the air. So Roderick Strong exits the ring, walks up the ramp, meets Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura, which they were on the stage. They were on the stage watching the match. And then AJ Styles ends up, decking both, Sami Zayn and Nakamura. So then we had AJ Styles, Roderick Strong, and Shinsuke Nakamura brawl on the stage, and they were brawling on the ramp. Sami Zayn ended up having chair shots to Roderick Strong and AJ Styles. They knocked Styles over to the side of the stage. Undisputed Era ended up running up to make the save, and Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura ended up going to the back. And that was pretty much basically what happened. But it was a good match. It was a good 8-man tag with the Undisputed Era, New Day, and Heavy Machinery. Then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back, the OC were on the stage. Styles, Gallows, and Anderson. And Styles is yelling at the crowd over what just happened. Styles went on knocking on Chicago, and he ends up saying that the OC isn't leaving. Fans were chanting for CM Punk. Of course, CM Punk, forgot to mention, he is on WWE Backstage now every Tuesday night at 11. When he returned to Backstage, I was happy to see him. And no, he's not working for WWE. He is working for Fox, for just Fox. He's not with WWE, as he stated in Tuesday's Backstage. If you watch WWE Backstage, CM Punk right there said he's only working for Fox, and he has no connection or anything, or hasn't even talked to anybody in WWE. Stated it right there. So for any of you thinking that, CM Punk, he is back with WWE. No, he is not. He's just working for Fox and just basically doing WWE Backstage. He is not signed with WWE. So the fans were chanting for CM Punk. And AJ says he will mop the floor with Punk. And Chicago needs mopping up. Well, first, Seth Rollins goes on Twitter and starts begging and pleading to have a match with CM Punk. And now Styles says he will mop the floor with Punk. So we have Seth Rollins and now AJ Styles. They both want a piece of CM Punk because Punk hasn't even been in the ring in over 6 years. So, hasn't been in the ring in 6 years. But then we had Gallows and Anderson also trashing the crowd. Styles goes on, trash talking, and Daniel Bryan ended up coming out. Daniel Bryan made his way to the ring. He passed the OC. He ended up getting the ring. Daniel Bryan gets on the mic, and fans were chanting for Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan says people want to know why he would want to summon Bray Wyatt. And he says, here's why. And he shows, the video package with footage of, him with the Fiend. When the Fiend ended up attacking him, putting him in the mandible claw. So Daniel Bryan ended up saying that he didn't come out to play around or with puppets. He came out to summon Bray Wyatt. So Daniel Bryan ended up going on about not knowing what goes on in Bray Wyatt's head. He calls him out to talk before the title match on Sunday at Survivor Series. So he says they can get to know each other or remnants about the past. But if that doesn't sound good, then they can fight. So the lights go out, then the lights come back up, and no one came out. Fans were booing, and Daniel Bryan ends up taking the mic, and he accuses Bray Wyatt of disappointing the fans, and that he's just playing mind games. So Daniel Bryan ends up calling Bray Wyatt to come fight. So out came The Miz. Miz came out. Daniel Bryan says if there's one thing worse than The Fiend, it's The Miz. Because, of course, Daniel Bryan and The Miz have this long rivalry. So Daniel Bryan asks, what the hell is Miz doing out here? So The Miz gets in the ring, and he says to Daniel Bryan that Daniel Bryan's behavior is making it clear that he's not a professional, unlike him. So The Miz went on to say about how Daniel Bryan disrespected him on Miz TV last week. And Daniel Bryan says he doesn't care because he doesn't respect The Miz and doesn't like him. So The Miz ended up yelling back and says the feelings are mutual. So he ends up getting in Daniel Bryan's face, and he says to him that he can't wait to see The Fiend rip him apart next week. So The Miz goes on about trying to be there for Daniel Bryan since day one and talks some sense into him. So The Miz ended up slapping Daniel Bryan in the face. So this is heel Miz, we're seeing. This is the Miz that we all want to see. The babyface Miz, it was fine, but then it got very meh with him because the Miz being a heel, that's what we all like about the Miz. That cocky, heel persona that his character has when he's a heel. So then we had the Miz versus Daniel Bryan, which we've seen before. It's nothing new, but the match ended in a no contest because the lights went out and the Fiend was shown sitting in the corner. Daniel Bryan ended up staring at him, and they go at each other, for a fight. And we had that red light in, like we were watching from the Virtual Boy, from the Nintendo Virtual Boy from the mid-90s. So Bray Wyatt then applied the mandible claw, and the lights went dark. And quite frankly, when the Fiend locked in the mandible claw on Daniel Bryan, there was no red light in. Like how the way, it's supposed to be. So the Fiend had the mandible claw on Daniel Bryan, And what we just heard was, Bray Wyatt laughing away. Now it's basically that. But I knew that the Fiend was going to show up here. So I'm like, The Miz and Daniel Bryan are having a match. We've seen the match before. Something is going to happen. I knew the Fiend was going to show up. Then after that, we had Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion, come out. Michael Cole brings up how Bayley took shots at Baszler earlier. So Shayna ends up taking the mic, and she ends up saying that she heard Bayley talk about how she keeps attacking from behind. Baszler went on to say that Bayley must not be getting the message, because here she is in Bayley's ring, calling her out. So Shayna Baszler ends up dropping the mic, waits for Bayley to come out. Bayley then attacks Shayna from behind, takes Shayna's knee out, and Bayley ends up taking out Baszler. Shayna ends up fighting back, and Bayley ends up trying to retreat through the crowd, but Shayna came from behind. She ended up in the computer clutch, and Bayley ends up ramming, into the post, ramming her back into the post, and then the barricade. And we just had a beatdown, on Bayley and Shayna, and Bayley ended up going down, launches Shayna, throw first into the top of the barrier, and Bayley ended up dropping Shayna, at ringside, making her exit to the stage. And Shayna ended up getting back on her feet. She ended up staring Bayley down. And that was basically what happened. So there you go. Shayna ended up showing up. Her and Bayley had a little beat down. Sets up a little hype for the triple threat between Bayley and her and Becky Lynch. Champion versus champion versus champion for each of the brands, each of the three brands. Then we had the main event. 6-man tag, Corbin, Roode, Ziggler versus Roman, Mustafa Ali, and also Chad Gable. So 6-man tag. Match itself, very meh, in my opinion. Did not care for it. And Corbin, Roode, and Ziggler win the match. Corbin ended up hitting the deep six on Mustafa Ali to score the win. So, and then the post match. What happened post match, I really enjoyed. It was really brilliant how it was done. So Corbin ends up taking his scepter, tries to hit it at Mustafa Ali, but Roman makes a save, ends up spearing Corbin. Seth Rollins' music ends up hitting. So Roman was in the ring, and Seth appears in the crowd, and the Raw superstars come down. We had the War Raiders, the Street Profits, Ricochet, Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, the OC. Others were coming down from the crowd. Roman was the only one in the ring. He had no backup from Smackdown superstars. Seth enters the ring, stares at Roman, and both of them are good friends. And Seth ends up punching Roman. They start brawling. So we have the Raw superstars enter, enter the area ringside. They attack Mustafa Ali, Chad Gable, Dolph Ziggler, Roode, and Corbin at ringside. So then Braun Strowman came out. Braun Strowman came out. He starts, running over, the Raw superstars. He had Heath Slater for SmackDown superstars that came out. He had Heath Slater, the Revival, Heavy Machinery. Drake Maverick was also shown. So we had, Team Raw and Team SmackDown brawl. They were brawling in and out of the ring. The fans were chanting for NXT. Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman, were in the ring along with other members from Team Raw and Team SmackDown. And we saw Braun end up delivering a power slam on Drew McIntyre. Then we see backstage. This was brilliant right here. We went backstage and we saw the NXT superstars. They were walking down, and some of them were riding the DX tank from, if you remember, back in 1998, the classic DX tank when they were trying to invade Nitro, WCW Nitro. So they had that. That was cool to see. It was brilliant. You had Shawn Michaels and Triple H inside of the tank. And the NXT music ends up hitting. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Road Dogg, were on the stage. I forgot Road Dogg was also in the tank also, along with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And they lead, their guys. They lead their guys, their NXT guys, all to the ring to brawl with Raw and SmackDown. And now the three brands are going at it, brawling. Also saw Walter there from NXT UK. He's the WWE United Kingdom champion. And all three brands were just brawling. They were brawling all over the arena. It was crazy. So Keith Lee Keith Lee was in the ring. Montez Ford gets in it, tries to do something to Keith Lee, but stupidly. And then Keith Lee ended up laying Montez Ford out with a spear bomb. And Strowman ends up getting into the ring. And Strowman and Keith Lee are now in the ring. And they're both of them are just staring at each other. Who knows? We might see a Braun Strowman versus Keith Lee match, in the future. That would be really awesome to see. So the fans were really loving that. When Strowman and Keith Lee were seeing eye to eye. Then Heath Slater runs in, tries to do something on Keith Lee, but fails. And then Braun Strowman and Keith Lee, they started fighting each other. And, the ring fills up with, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown guys. And SmackDown ended up going off the air. More superstars were filling the ring. And that was basically how SmackDown ended. But it was a brilliant way with NXT coming out with the tank. Brought back, memories from that, that classic moment with DX, invading Nitro. And I like how the way Michael Cole goes, "Oh, this isn't Norfolk. This isn't 1998." overall, it was a good ending to SmackDown. Really enjoyed it. Really got me hyped for the Survivor Series match with Team Raw, SmackDown, and NXT for both the women and the men. But all in all, decent SmackDown tonight. Found it really enjoyable. So, yes, anyways, that's it for my review of SmackDown. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, I'll see you all later.